Hello and welcome, my name is Ian J. Cole. I'm a musician and composer and I run Sinners Music Limited, which is a music shop called Pocklington Music, and a little record label called Sinners, and a small studio. I'm about to have the studio rebuilt in another location, and I thought it'd be really good to go through to be able to show you the whole process. So first of all, before we actually get to look at the space where the new studio is going to be, let's have a look at my current control room, really. So here we are. This is how the setup currently is. It was cabled through to another room, which was a live drum room, but that's actually been decommissioned completely, so there is no point in having a look at that. So let's see what we've got here. We're running for the studio, we're running a Mac Mini, and we have a Panorama P1 which I use to control everything on screen, so I'm not doing everything with a mouse. I mainly run Reaper and Logic Pro X. We've got a Zoom TAC8 audio interface which is connected to the Mac via Thunderbolt. And below that we have a patch bay where we can route certain bits of audio from, well, initially from the live drum room, but actually also from we've got a turntable and a full hi-fi system wired up so we can feed the audio through to here. I also curate a monthly iTunes podcast radio show, and we have the microphone set up here. It's nothing special, it's a T-bone microphone which cheap, I think about £20, something like that. Perfectly alright for a sort of podcast. The other things that we've got in my rack here, we've got a DBX multi-digital dynamic processor which handles reverb and effects and compression, and to be fair, I very rarely use it. We've also got a hardware rack mounted Korg M3R synthesizer, which is a rack version of the 1980s Korg M1. I also have a lot of input cards for it, but actually that's probably going to be sold off because all of that stuff is now available on the iPad with all the cards as a software synth. So I use the iPad along with an iConnect MIDI connector to get audio through and use it as an interface. Also can form part of a mobile rig because I have a MacBook Pro which will do exactly, which mirrors what we can do in the actual studio. As far as speakers are concerned, we have a pair of Tannoy System 8s which were bought second hand a few years ago on eBay. A fantastic speaker, and they're the main pair of studio monitors. I also have several pairs of these Teledyne Acoustic Research AR18S speakers. They're really good as like a home hi-fi pair of speakers. They're actually from the 80s, and you can still probably pick them up fairly cheaply on eBay. Although these have actually been reconed, because what happens is the foam round here starts to perish. Very simple crossover on the speaker, so two-way sealed box, so none of this ported business. Really good all-round speaker. There is also a pair of Avatones, or horror tones as people tend to call them, which are mix cubes, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. Absolutely imperative. You don't need them in stereo, you don't need two, you only need one really, but I couldn't, at the time of buying them, I couldn't just buy one on its own, so I had to buy a pair. So we have a pair of them here, but actually they're always put into mono. And the header rolls at the top, which I don't like at all, they are a powered speaker. They are just connected to the Mac and the PC that's over here, just for using sound coming from the PC. Over to the hi-fi system, what we've got set up over here is we've got an 80 watt TIAC hi-fi amp which is running all the audio into the studio, and is cabled round the room to the audio interface and to the Mac. We've got a trusty old cassette deck, JVC CD player, and a turntable for when we have to rip things from vinyl. There's also another couple of bits and pieces over there, but they're just spares. There is a behind these books here, we've actually got a mini disc recorder which doesn't get used. The other thing that we have in here is a surround vocal booth, which I tend to find work pretty well. You usually need an absorbent area behind it, so we've got a absorbent area there or on here. The other microphone, the main microphones that we tend to use for recording are Rhodes, and these are I've got a pair of these, the NT2As. It can also be set up as a stereo pair here with a second holder. And we've got some studio headphones. These are some Shure, I'm trying to remember what model they are, 940s. They sound fine. I just find that they feel a bit like you've got your head in a vice, but they're great because they're fully enclosed, so they're great for vocalists to record, providing they're not having to wear them for hours and hours. The only other thing that's currently in here, and this doesn't live in here, this will, although it will live in the new studio, because all of the keyboards and synthesizers that I have will live in the studio. This is a 1970s Korg 700, which was the first synthesizer I ever bought, and then had to rebuy about 5 or 6 years ago for significantly more money than I ever bought it or paid for it. And that's pretty much the studio as it stands now. There's an old Casio mini keyboard over there, but we've got lots of things like that dotting around. Thanks very much for watching. The next instalment of the studio build will be showing you the room that the studio is going to be built into. So see you next time. Thanks very much for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button, and see you next time.